planet is home to an incredible variety of life, from the tallest trees to the tiniest microbes. Every organism plays a role in maintaining the delicate balance of nature. Biodiversity was first coined by Walter G. Rosen in 1986. It comes from the Greek word bios, meaning life, and the Latin term diversitas, meaning variety. Biodiversity refers to the variety of all living organisms, including plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms in a particular habitat or ecosystem.
Biodiversity can be categorized into three types. Genetic diversity refers to the variety of genes within a species, allowing organisms to adapt to changes. Species diversity is the number of different species within an ecosystem. And ecosystem diversity represents the range of habitats from forests to oceans, supporting different life forms.
Genetic diversity strengthens species survival. Every species on Earth is related to every other species through genetic connections. The more closely related any species are, and more genetic information they will share, and the more similar they will appear. An organism's closest relatives are members of its own species, or organisms with which it has the potential to mate and produce offspring. Members of a species shares genes, the bits of biochemical information that determine, in part, how the animals look and behave and live.
Ecosystem diversity provide a range of services like air purification, water filtration, and climate regulation. The different types of ecosystem, such as terrestrial or aquatic, natural or artificial, are sustained due to their strategic geographical location on Earth. Temperate regions are home to the deciduous forests where trees are adapted to the changing of the four seasons, while the equatorial region have the tropical rainforests which are exposed to the wet and dry seasons. Thus, plants that thrive in the Arctic region differ greatly in their adaptive characteristics as compared with those in the tropics.
Species diversity maintains ecosystem stability. Species diversity is the variety of species within a habitat or a region. Species are the basic units of biological classification and thus the normal measure of biological diversity. Species richness is the term that describes the number of different species in each area. The world total is estimated at 5 million species, though only 1.75 million have been named scientifically so far.
Each species, no matter how small, contributes to the health of ecosystem. Pollinators like bees help plants reproduce, while predators keep population in check.
Did you know that coral reefs support more than 25% of marine life? These underwater cities provide shelter, breeding grounds, and food for countless species.
Even in cities, biodiversity thrives. Parks, gardens, and green roofs create habitats for birds, butterflies, and beneficial insects, enhancing urban life.
Biodiversity benefits us in countless ways. It provides foods, medicine, and raw materials. It regulates our climate and protects against natural disasters. A thriving ecosystem supports our economy and improves human well-being.
Unfortunately, human activities are threatening biodiversity. Habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change are causing species to decline at an alarming rate.
Do you ever wonder the consequences that all living things might encounter when the Earth suffers from biodiversity loss? That's what we're going to find out. The Earth's natural assets are made up of plants, animals, land, water, the atmosphere, and humans. Together, we all form parts of the planet's ecosystem, which means that if there is a biodiversity crisis, our health and livelihoods are at risk too.
The consequences of biodiversity increase up to the high level where every living thing affected the most. It includes fewer wild foods, reduced nutritional security, poorer pollination due to decline of pollinators, and less productive and resilient agricultural systems. Biodiversity loss bring higher exposure to agrochemicals, reduced access to the traditional medicines, and lost opportunities for drug development, as well as translating into higher disease burdens.
The species making up an ecosystem determine its productivity, affect nutrient cycles and soil contents, and influence environmental conditions such as water cycles, weather patterns, climate, and other non-biotic species. And as for the climate change, biodiversity compromises adaptive capacity, exacerbates natural disasters, and often reduces carbon storage.
Tragically, some species have already been lost. The slender-billed curlew, once found across Europe, North Africa, and Western Asia, was declared globally extinct in November 2024. Its decline was due to habitat loss and hunting.
Several Polynesian streamers have also been declared extinct. For instance, Partula dentifera, endemic to Raiatea in the Society Islands of French Polynesia, was officially declared extinct by the International Union for Conservation of Nature in June 2024. Its extinction is attributed to the introduction of the predatory rosy wolf snails or Euglandina rosea.
In Greece, the Thracian shad, Alosa vistonica, once endemic to Lake Vistonida, was declared extinct in October 2024. Factors contributing to its extinction include pollution, habitat destruction, and increased salinity due to canal construction.
In 2024, the Sangihe dwarf kingfisher, or Saic sangirensis, native to the Sangihe Island in Indonesia, was declared extinct. Decades of taxonomic confusion, delayed recognition of its status, and habitat loss likely contributed to its disappearance.
Furthermore, up to 3 insect species become extinct in Australia every week, with more than 9,000 species having disappeared since European colonization. Many extinctions occur as ghost extinctions, where species vanish before being identified.
Biodiversity plays a crucial role in human nutrition through its influence on world food production, as it ensures the sustainable productivity of soils and provides the genetic resources for all crops, livestock, and marine species harvested for food. Nutrition and biodiversity are linked at many levels. The ecosystem, with food production as an ecosystem service, the species in the ecosystem, and the genetic diversity within species. Nutritional composition between foods and among varieties of the same food can differ dramatically, affecting micronutrient availability in the diet. Healthy local diets with adequate average levels of nutrients intake necessitates maintenance of high biodiversity levels. Intensified and enhanced food production through irrigation, use of fertilizer, plant protection or pesticides, or the introduction of crop varieties and cropping patterns affect biodiversity and thus impact global nutritional status and human health. Habitat simplification, species loss, and species succession offer enhanced communities' vulnerabilities as a function of environmental receptivity to ill health.
Ano ang plano ng pamahalaan para sa biodiversity conservation sa bansa? Sa Pilipinas, mahigit 53,000 ang described species. Halos 15,000 ay plant species, habang 38,000 naman ang animal species. Mahigit kalahati nito ay sa Pilipinas lang matatagpuan, gaya ng Philippine eagle, tamaraw, Philippine mouse deer o pilandok, Visayan warty pig, at Philippine tarsier. Ang problema, ilan sa mga species na ito ay nanganganib na mawala dahil sa habitat loss, overexploitation, invasive alien species, pollution at climate change. Binuo ang Philippine Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan o PBSAP. Magsisilbi itong roadmap para sa biodiversity conservation ng bansa. Target ng PBSAP na by 2028, ma-rehabilitate at ma-restore ang biodiversity sa Pilipinas. Plano ring ayusin ang ecosystem services para mapanatiling healthy at resilient ang mga komunidad.
Meron kaming 3 major programs na kasama ito sa roadmap namin sa PBSAP kung tawagin natin. Ito ay ang Protected Area Development and Management, tapos Protection and Conservation of Wildlife, and the management of our coastal and marine resources.
Ayon sa DENR-BMB, mayroon ng 248 protected areas sa buong bansa sa ilalim ng Expanded National Integrated Protected Area System.
To sum it up, we must consider the entire Earth as a single unit. A loss of a single-celled species or a family of wild grass can have adverse effect in the entire biosphere. Biodiversity at a macro level seem to be vast and rich. However, at the macro level or per species, loss can be seen. Eventually, this biodiversity loss will have a great negative effect, especially to us humans. Therefore, we must recognize the value of the organisms with which we share the planet. We must begin to give the natural capital stock that produces these services adequate weight in the decision-making process. Otherwise, current and continued future human welfare may drastically suffer because many ecosystem services are literally irreplaceable. We do not and probably cannot ever evaluate such services adequately, but we humans can value the ecosystems if the word appropriately.